Hello everyone. Today we will listen to a dramatic, suspenseful series with many unexpected details with the main characters of the series, who are orphans who are trained to become assassins, serving organizations that for personal gain will let assassins destroy everyone. But our main character is betrayed and killed by the very organization he works for. Then I was reincarnated as a police officer, alone on the path of justice to find justice for myself and society. He took revenge on the organization that betrayed him. Let's go to the plot together. This series opens with the image of a young girl, whispering in confusion. It seems like the girl in that alley is in danger. The male police officer sitting in the car friendly replied, "Yes, okay, we will come to investigate." After receiving the answer from the police officer, the girl left, with peace of mind. But immediately after that the male police officer nonchalantly said, "Now, is off work. Okay, so will the police be the people's protectors? Or just the mold and mildew of society?" The female police officer next to her also saw the victim being bullied by thugs in the police station. "Ali," she immediately spoke up. "Boss, isn't that the girl? It seems like she needs our help." But the male police officer pouted and replied, "Help, just the two of us." The female police officer was bewildered. The other guy glanced outside and continued, "Can't you see that our side is outnumbered? Look at how many people there are. What can we do with two people?" The police immediately suggested that they could call for backup. But the other police officer ignored it and calmly said that after having fun, they let her go right away. Which wasn't the first time. At that moment, a voice rang out outside, "Let her go." The two policemen in the car both glanced out in bewilderment. Another policeman had been standing there for some time. The leader of the thugs saw him and cursed angrily. "What the hell are you doing?" The police officer said it again. "I said, let her go." The thug also let go of the girl, but started to move towards him. He jokingly let out cigarette smoke in his face and replied, "I don't want to let go, so what?" Before he could do anything more, the policeman used one hand to lift his jaw, causing his teeth and lips to mix, his eyes to roll back, the half-smoked cigarette in his mouth to fall out. After being released, he fell to the ground, clutching his face and complaining, "My nose." The two policemen in the car who witnessed everything also stared. "What the hell?" The juniors were also surprised no less. Then the male policeman threatened, "If you don't want to, you'll have to be lectured again." The juniors started to get angry when they heard that. "You damn cop." After finishing speaking, the whole group rushed towards the policeman. But before they could do anything to him, he punched him in the face. The leader spit out blood and fell backwards, facing the policeman, not even bothering to change color even a little bit. The two policemen in the car were even more surprised. The leader used his hand to hold the wound and cursed, "Damn it." Then he used it. "Hot product. Hey, you son of a bitch. I will kill you." The girl standing next to him trembled in fear, hiding close to a corner. He was not afraid at all, but even smirked challengingly. "Kill me. Have you ever seen anyone off?" The other guy replied loudly, "Of course. I'll expose it right away." "It's a lie. Your hands have never even had blood on them. That look sold you out." The leader started to hesitate but still remained speechless. "Do you think I can't kill you?" The police officer replied equally. "Do it. Stab me. Stab me here." Brother, he grabbed his hand and pressed the knife to his heart, causing him to suddenly startle and tremble in fear. After seeing his reaction, he threatened again, "But if you can't finish me off." The leader at that moment, he was scared and his face turned pale. The policeman continued in a harsh voice, "I will kill you." This sentence from him caused the other guy's face to be bloodless. The next second, the knife in his hand, he fell straight to the ground. He stepped back in fear, at the same time asking, "Who the hell are you?" The police officer put his hand on his shoulder and replied, "Who am I? You are responsible for sending you to jail." After finishing speaking, he used force to squeeze his shoulder, making him scream in pain. Then he finished with the last sentence, "I'm a police officer." A week ago, at Incheon Port, the figure of a man stood in front of a container. He put his hand on the door handle properly was opened. As soon as the door was opened, the people inside were readying their weapons. He spoke up, "There are enough people. This is our male protagonist, the assassin code named Bai Guang." The blonde guy who was stroking his knife saw him and smiled brightly to greet him. "Finally, why are you taking so long? He is the assassin code named Maple Leaf." That guy continued, The last mission. It's yours, so you're taking it too leisurely. Bai Guang replied, I'm not that late. Anyway, what kind of mission is this? The other guys in the car also stared at him with blank eyes. Very friendly. Maple Leaf smiled cunningly. Right after that a big guy jumped up from behind Bai Guang with a chain and spoke. Buddha asked me to do it. The chain was quickly put around Bai Guang's neck. But before it could tighten his neck, he used his hand to stop it. His eyes emitted a red light filled with murderous intent. He easily knocked down the big guy behind him, causing him to collapse and lie on the ground. By then Bai Guang had almost understood everything. But he was still wondering, what the hell are you guys doing? Maple Leaf still smiled and replied, you know that. Just doing our job. Bai Guang frowned and repeated, your job. Maple Leaf laughed even louder and said, the retirement ceremony of the legendary killer Bai Guang. Finished speaking, the whole group rushed up to join him. The first guy to rush up was used by him with the same chain just now. Put it around S neck and then easily used his shampoo to hit him in the middle of the face. The next guy grabbed the axe and rushed up to slash his head. He glared straight at him, immediately raised his foot and kicked him in the middle of the neck, causing his whole body to distort. Before he could rest, the next guy came at him with a knife. Bai Guang skillfully dodged it and also wrapped the chain around his neck. Then used force to strangle him to death. The other guy was strangled to the point that his head was full of veins and screamed in pain. Maple Leaf's smile then disappeared from his lips. After defeating all the shrimp, Bai Guang spoke up, hey, do you think this is enough to defeat me? Maple Leaf started to tense up and swear, damn it, I don't want to have to use it this thing. He pulled out a small pistol from his hem, and still didn't stop joking. Bai Guang, this is Buddha's order, you are seriously injured, why don't you clear the way for me? And obediently die, let's go, you also know how hard it will be to clean up if you use a gun. He spoke at such a long time, but Bai Guang only paid attention to the sentence. This is Buddha's order. He was so angry that he trembled and cursed. Oh shit, what the hell is the last mission? He said after this I will be free to do whatever I want. Why? Maple Leaf replied with a smile. I'm lucky to go to hell and ask him it wasn't too late to say goodbye. He put his hand on the trigger and prepared to pull, not forgetting to call Bai Guang's name one last time. He quickly rushed over to take the gun from him. Finally, the shot was fired. Out. Blood splattered. On the other side, incense smoke was rising. A monk was sitting chanting sutras in front of the Buddha, with a card stuck between the incense sticks. At that moment the phone rang with a notification. He picked up the phone and asked, is the job done? The other end of the line replied, yes, it's all done. The voice sounded strange. The monk took out the phone to check the caller number again. On the other side, Maple Leaf was lying on the ground, not breathing. Bai Guang spoke harshly into the phone. The rotten old man. The monk still calmly asked, is that Bai Guang? I'm preparing for the funeral. How do I know it's just for you? Bai Guang ignored the nonsense and asked directly, you're at the temple, right? He replied nonchalantly, of course the monk must be in the temple. Bai Guang, can you drag yourself here? Outside the temple door he has arranged dozens of assassins with full weapons. Bai Guang replied without fear, just keep watch, let me in. I've arrived, now you're standing facing them. You threw the phone on the ground and said to yourself, if you don't invite me, I'll come in myself. And then told assassins, talk nicely. The biggest guy stood up to respond. Mr. Buddha was busy preparing for the funeral. Bai Guang smiled indifferently and said, Mr. Buddha, what the hell? Would the Buddha really kidnapping children and training them to be assassins? Making a lot of money from them. What's the name? I'm speechless and don't know what to answer. He was so angry that his arms were full of veins, and started to rush entering the fight. He raised his sword high to slash down. But Bai Guang easily dodged it and asked for a little bit of relief from his flank. He angrily shouted, get away from me. Everything in his heart is now the mess. They took everything I had. Since he was trained to become a physical assassin, Bai Guang directly stabbed a knife into his childhood opponent, and another knife slashed the neck of the guy who rushed at him. Family. At that moment he was also secretly stabbed from behind. After the old woman saw him turn around and glared at him, she froze in fear. Bai Guang pulled out the knife that was stuck in his body and rushed over After finishing everything, the same guy also appeared. The gun was pointed straight at his head when he had exhausted his strength. He continued with his train of thought. But now they were trying to rob him. Take the last thing left in his hands. His life. The guy holding the gun is none other than that monk. Bai Guang said angrily, You promised to let me live like this, a normal person. You promised to let me live as I wanted after completing the last mission. You already promised. You screamed at him. He calmly replied, Yes, now I am giving you that opportunity. Bai Guang did not understand. He let out a bewildered sound. He smiled, continued to speak. Bai Guang, sentient beings turn into nothingness in all their lives. That is how human life is. There, now, Bai Guang doesn't know what to do but stare helplessly at him. He chants the sutra, Namo Amitabha Buddha, then bluntly sends him back to the 9 springs. Until when he died, only one thought appeared in Bai Guang's mind. I will take revenge. Even if I am in hell, I will. Just when he thought he had ascended to heaven, he heard voices again, something strange in his ears. Hey, open your eyes. Come on. There are 3 police officers surrounding him. He suddenly shouted, Police. The orange-haired girl asked in bewilderment. Police. What's wrong with him? The police officer next to her replied. The doctor said he might lose his memory temporarily. The orange hair panicked and shouted at him. Come on. Kim Gyong-soo. Calm down. He was confused. Who is Kim Gyong-soo? The girl replied, It's you. The police officer next to him then gave him the things and said, Take the card and the mirror. On the card there is information. Ilsan Police Station. Police. And a photo of the card. Kim Gyong-soo. A quite handsome face boy appeared in his eyes. Legendary assassin Bai Guang. Bai Guang trembled in disbelief. Wondering, what the hell is going on? He turned pale and wondered, why am I a cop? Just like that he became a police officer. The notorious assassin Bai Guang. After being betrayed by the organization, he was reincarnated as a police officer, to focus on plotting revenge. But right now he's here, being slapped in the face by an annoying policeman, slapping cotton balls in Gyong-soo's face and cursing. Kim Gyong-soo, your mother, what's wrong with him? Encountering this situation again, back to the time at the hospital. Bai Guang held the mirror in his hand and trembled speechlessly. This bastard. No. Did I try to kill myself? The orange-haired female police officer immediately replied. Yes. How could you do that to yourself? The male police officer next to you continued. Luckily for you, the rope broke while doing that. You were paralyzed, awake for a week. Orange hair screams at Gyong-soo. Listen, you idiot. You think writing the names of assholes in your suicide note will solve all your problems? Gyong-soo didn't understand and argued back. What nonsense are you talking about? The orange hair immediately explained. You wrote the names of the seniors who bullied us in your letter. Back to the present. That tough cop continued cursing. Damn, why are the newbies this year so bad? He is Senior Police Officer Hwang Chol Minimum. The guy next to him is Senior Police Officer Hwang Young Chan. Chol Min continued to point at Ki Yonu and sarcastically said, Hey Gyong-soo, both of your parents committed suicide after committing a crime. Right? The guy behind him continued. Why did you follow in their footsteps? The prisoner's son became a police officer. Chol Min threatened. If you want to die, do it in silence. Go. Why the hell did you write our names in your damn suicide note? He said while raising his hand to give Gyong-soo a painful slap. Time seemed to stop for a moment. Chol Min's slap was impossible, making him widen his eyes. What the hell? Are you crazy? Gyong-soo used his hand to hold his hand tightly. Chol Min couldn't believe his eyes and asked, You dare stop me? Then he turned to the orange-haired girl who was looking down on the ground and called. Hey Gyong-hee, she replied. Yes. He asked. This is considered reactionary behavior, right? Gyong-hee tremblingly replied. I can't see from down here. Sir. Young Chan heard that, so he squatted down in front of her and teased her. Oh, is that so? Then I will personally help you. Seeing him shake Gyong-hee's hair, Gyong-soo spoke up. Damn. Young Chan heard that and immediately looked up with an angry expression. He sighed and let out a sentence. This place isn't worth anything. Right? The name Chol Min trembled when he heard that. What did you say? But before he could do anything, Gyong-soo strangled him. His hand was in so much pain that he screamed loudly. His hand hurt so much that his whole body was shaking and sweating. Young Chan saw that and suddenly stammered. What the hell? Gyong-hee was also sitting at that time. Got up to look at Gyong-soo. Chol-min was trembling but still stubbornly ordered, "Let go of my hand." But Gyong-soo didn't care and used his other hand to hit the pulse point in his neck. He rolled his eyes in pain, then collapsed under the sudden gaze of young Chan and Gyong-hee. Young Chan's name was stuttering. It was. Chol-min had lost consciousness lying on the ground with wide eyes. Hwang Young Chan was angrily swearing. What the hell? Gyong-soo was straight, his foot kicked hard on his quail bird, and then deliberately pressed it even harder, causing him to open his mouth and scream in pain, with tears and snot from his eyes. Gyong-hee and the male police officer were by his side. I still felt miserable. Then Gyong-hee stammered out, "Oh my god, what the hell? He's reacting against that superior." After the news reached his superiors, Gyong-soo was summoned to the office. The policeman sitting on the chair angrily said, "Go away, he is a high-ranking police officer." Choi Jinna. Young Chan cursed angrily. What the hell? You think policemen don't get fired easily? Right. I'll definitely make you never wear that uniform again. Get out of my office quickly. Gyong-soo he indifferently frowned, absorbing his words. That evening, he sat in the park and sighed to himself. Seriously, oh my god, why are the police so corrupt? Next to him was a child looking at him with admiring eyes. Her mother happily introduced. It was the police. His eyes looked far away, silently recalling the events that happened today. After leaving room, along with the other 3 people ran after him calling, "Kim Gyong-soo." Gyong-hee asked, "Are you angry?" Gyong-soo replied, "What? That was self-defense, right?" The male police officer immediately explained. "Have you forgotten? Senior's father is an assistant deputy commissioner." Gyong-soo repeated in bewilderment. "Assistant deputy commissioner?" The male police officer continued to say, "Yes, an assistant deputy commissioner. He has a taeguk magungwa." After finishing speaking, the 3 waved goodbye to him and said in unison, "So go home safely, we will miss you very much." Back to the present, Gyong-soo thought thoughtfully, that's why they can't hold people like me. They're rotten from the inside out. His father has taeguk magungwa. That's equivalent to a star in the army. Right. At least I have to be reincarnated as high-level scout. The little girl next to him heard him say and whispered to her mother, "What is a scout?" While Gyong-soo kept complaining, "Oh my god, I'm still being abandoned by the organization." Police hat in hand, he thought to himself, but then suddenly remembered when he was a child in his previous life. When he was a boy walking backwards in the rain, someone actively approached him. "Hello over there," reached out his hand to receive him. Was Monk Buddha. He affectionately asked, "Do you want to come with me?" He looked up at him in confusion. Slowly, until he grew up and became a professional assassin, standing on hundreds of people. The memories gradually appeared. From behind him a voice rang out, "Bai Guang." When he turned around he glared. Eyes are a gun muzzle pointed straight at him. The person holding the gun is none other than Buddhist monk Buddha. He kills people straight away but still chants the mantra of compassion. "Please save us, merciful Buddha." Finished speaking, he pulled the trigger once. The image in his mind immediately changed to a noose. He widened his eyes to escape the nightmare. The office door was still open. Bai Guang held the noose up from his work position and called out softly. Kim Gyong-soo saw the notebook on his desk, along with the photo of a single body. The memory of this body appeared in Bai Guang's mind. Abandoned by his parents, and also abandoned by the organization. Close to death. He thought to himself, he and I at least have something in common. Should I leave? At the same time in Gyeonggi-do province, the police station in Sobu, West. A policeman close to the 2 stars on the bridge. He is the senior police general officer, Hong Jun. He is reviewing the documents. Hwagiksa, sweep, operation. This operation has been cancelled. Suddenly a voice rang out from behind him. Long time no see. Are you okay? Your whole body seemed to stiffen in place. The next second he regained his composure and turned around to speak. What? But the person behind him immediately controlled him with a pen pressed against his neck. He coldly spoke. Can we talk for a bit? Hong Jun gritted his teeth and asked. Who are you? The guy behind replied without hiding. I'm Bai Guang. Stop for a moment. The next second Hong Jun shouted dumbfounded. What? After the tense greeting just now, the two also sat down at the table to talk. Hong Jun still didn't believe it and asked again. It doesn't make sense. Are you Bai Guang? What? You died and woke up as a policeman? If you were me, would you believe what you're saying? Bai Guang replied coldly. I don't ask you to believe me. I'm threatening you. The smile on the policeman's face, the young man looked so scary. Hong Jun didn't say anything anymore, but just looked at him thoughtfully. Then Gyong-soo spoke again. Mr. Hong, I will help your campaign to purge the Hwagiksa organization. It seemed that this statement had caught Hong Jun's attention. Looking at the other person's determined eyes, he seriously asked again, who exactly are you? Gyong-soo still repeated the answer. I already said, I'm Bai Guang. Hong Jun secretly picked up the walkie-talkie and slowly raised it towards him while saying, Listen, Mr. Bai Guang, it seems like this is not the place to talk about Hwagiksa. Suddenly the walkie-talkie made a shrill noise, making Hong Jun startled. Then Gyong-soo spoke again. Mr. Hong, I already told you, but I didn't ask for help, sir. The murderous aura emitted from Gyong-soo made Hong Jun momentarily scared. Outside, a policeman guarding Hong Jun's room had collapsed. Next to him, another man was unconscious. Without warning, just like that, the entire hallway full of police guards were defeated. Gyong-soo repeated in a harsh voice. I'm threatening you. After hearing this, Hong Jun's sweat dropped on the spot. He cautiously asked, Who are you? Gyong-soo repeated it again. He said it was Bai Guang. But Hong Jun lost his temper even more, stood up and slammed on the table screaming. Ridiculous. Gyong-soo calmly repeat. 3 years ago, the promise he made to me. 3 years ago, when Hong Jun was still a young police officer. On a rainy day, a man he held the umbrella and stood in front of Hong Jun and said, Hong Jun, Officer Hong Jun, I am Bai Guang. Hong Jun was injured at that time. He asked with difficulty, could it be that Hwagiksa? Bai Guang interrupted he, you're the guy chasing after Buddha and giving him a lot of trouble. Right. You are the first man to get so close to him. That Buddha has asked me to deliver a message. I have. As he said, he pressed a button on the umbrella in his hand. The umbrella immediately popped out. Sharp needle tip. Bai Guang continued to say, old men don't have any hobbies. Then he pressed the tip of the needle to Hong Jun's neck. Hong Jun helplessly hugged his arms and begged, help, save me. Bai Guang asked coldly, do you want to live? Mr. Hong Jun. He raised his hand in front of his face that was wearing it. And then without hesitation took it off so that Hong Jun could see his face clearly. He said in a harsh voice, promising one thing for me. Instead of saving you, then in 3 years, if we catch that guy, I will protect you well. Hong Jun asked in confusion. Why, no, are you two on the same side? Bai Guang didn't answer but asked him in return. Do you like that monk? Then he replied, I don't. Bald guy. He put his mask back on and turned on the umbrella and prepared to leave. After repeating everything, Gyong-soo looked straight at Hong Jun and asked, clearly you promised me that. Didn't you keep your word? His eyes were fixed on him. He carefully observed, then raised his voice sarcastically. Senior police officer, you've been promoted a lot in 3 years. You don't keep your promises. You only obey. No, okay. Gyong-soo took out a pen from his pocket, then glared at Hong Jun and threatened, go away. Hong Jun was so scared that his eyes widened. The next second he shouted, no, it's not that I didn't keep my word. I couldn't do it. Do you know why I had to do that? The higher my rank, the more secret information I obtained. The information I collected. He began to recount the stories he had experienced. The assassin organization. When he proposed the Hwagiksa operation. A higher-ranking policeman he carefully considered. After reading the report, he asked suspiciously, even Monk Buddha was the boss of the organization. Hong Jun replied clearly, yes, that's true, but the police there just saw him as a joke. Hong Jun, you read too many police comics. Hwagiksa is the country's cultural heritage there. Hong Jun was speechless for a moment before he could argue with me. My team had investigated and discovered many criminals. Suddenly a voice rang out from far away. Police Chief Hong Jun. Hong Jun's eyes froze on that person. Was a policeman with 4 stars on his shoulder. He slowly and firmly said each word. If he said that, he would be punished. Just a sentence that made Hong Jun turn pale and die on the spot. He continued to say, "You shouldn't touch the issue of religion. Return to the present." After understanding everything about the story, Kyung-soo asked again, "Were you pressured by your superiors?" Hong-jun helplessly replied, "Yes." He took out 2 files from the desk drawer and gave them to him. "Please look at them. These are the documents my team has been looking for so hard over the past time." Kyung-soo picked them up and carefully looked at each page. Then he got frustrated and threw the documents on the table, criticizing, "Oh my god, this thing. It's true that if you interrogate haphazardly like that, you'll be crushed. Even so, it's partly true." Then he declared, "First I will protect you." Seeing him breathe a sigh of relief, Kyung-soo glared again, eyes close to his face, and growled, "What relief? I said it first." Hong-jun cautiously looked at the guy in front of him. Seeing his attitude, Kyung-soo said comfortably, then later, "Hey, I will help you. I won't let you die. Let's take care of each other a little." The senior general officer soon arrived the next morning. At the Ilsan police station, Kyung-hee and his colleagues were sitting quietly in their seats. Suddenly the door of the room was opened, then kicked it out. Both of them stuttered in panic. What? Kyung-soo walked in loudly and said, "Hey, good morning." The other 2 yawned and walked out. Kyung-hee asked, "What is it, Kim Kyung-soo? Weren't you fired?" At that moment, Police Chief Choi Jin-ah also kicked in the door and shouted loudly, "Why are you so noisy?" Just looked seeing Kyung-soo. He stiffened and stammered, "What is it? Why are you?" Kim Kyung-soo remained calm, while Kyung-hee and the male police officer seemed worried for him. Choi Jin-ah walked over and pointed straight at him. Kim Kyung-soo said, "This guy, I told you not to appear in front of me." He didn't pay any attention to him and turned to ask, "Where are the seniors?" Choi Jin-ah interrupted and replied, "Just take a sick leave." This guy. He was angry and growled, "It's not that easy." Then from the door someone walked in. Just saw this person. Choi Jin-ah was bewildered. Kyung-hee and the remaining male police officers also gasped in surprise. Choi Jin-ah was so surprised. His mouth opened wide, his eyes widened, speechless, looking at the number of stars on the newcomer's shoulder. I stammered, Seen. High-ranking police officer, none other than Hong-jun. Hong-jun cleared his throat. Kyung-hee stammered and raised his hand in greeting. Loyal. Choi Jin-ah also trembling and asked, "Yes, what's going on?" He smiled, put his hand on Kim Kyung-soo's shoulder and said, "I came here to see my Kyung-soo do that." Hearing that, Kyung-hee was even more surprised. Again, "My Kyung-soo, what's the situation?" Choi Jin-ah asked with a bloodless face. "You, sir, what is your relationship with police officer Kyung-soo?" Hong-jun happily answered, "The scene close to Kim Kyung-soo. Should I call him the benefactor who saved my life? Sir, I hope everyone will help Kyung-soo." The group of people were surprised and still trembling and said hello. Loyal. Kyung-soo's face lit up and immediately greeted Hong-jun. Loyal. That afternoon at a familiar park, Kyung-soo nonchalantly said, "The higher-ups really do have power, right?" Hong-jun seriously asked, "Is it okay now?" Suddenly Kyung-soo remembered and continued, "One more thing. I want to ask you one more favor." That night was the full moon day. The moon illuminated the whole sky. At the familiar Hwagiksa temple, the monk was sitting chanting. The card in front of him symbolizes Bai Guang. The sound of drumming continuously rang out. Suddenly he felt the presence of a stranger. So he cautiously asked, "Who is?" The other person standing at the door replied, "How could I forget this personal feud?" As soon as he saw him, the monk's eyes widened in surprise. He wore Bai Guang's mask, slowly walked in and said, "The ghost returned here." The card was still stuck between the 4 incense sticks. The naked monk quickly pulled out 3 sticks of incense. Performing the action in just a split second, the old man flew 3 incense sticks towards the stranger. When the incense sticks were almost stuck straight into his eyes, he skillfully tilted his head to the left, let it crash straight into the pillar behind him. He used his hand to pull out 3 incense sticks and slowly said, "A monk can't let the place where Buddha is located get hurt, right?" Monk. At that moment, he stood up and asked in a loud voice, "That mask, who are you?" Kyung-soo still repeated the old sentence. He said, "I was a ghost." "But, what kind of ghost?" the monk angrily shouted, gently snapping his fingers. A series of black-clad assassins stepped out from behind the curtain. Gyong-soo glared at him all through his mask. The monk coldly spoke. Then, his last time had to be done in a grand way. At this moment all his subordinates suddenly appeared and surrounded Kim Gyong-soo. One guy already had a knife in his hand and was approaching him. Monk Buddha still calmly observed the situation, his eyes calmly looking forward, while his subordinate held a knife aiming at the opponent's neck. That person leaned back. With his hands he quickly moved, then immediately threw a powerful punch into the subordinate's stomach. One hand tickled his face. After that attack, he fell backwards. Blood spurted out non-stop, and his hand completely let go of the weapon. The knife fell from his hand for a moment. Then Gyong-soo quickly caught him and took a stance ready to welcome 3 or 4 more of Buddha's subordinates holding weapons and rushing towards him. The first guy, he held the sword and was about to strike down on his head. His face showed extreme hatred. His pupils shrank, his teeth clenched and did not let go. However, before they could attack, Gyong-soo brutally cut their throats. One by one they fell back, blood gushing out from the cuts. He leaned over to escape the siege of the henchmen. His eyes hidden behind the mask radiated a terrifying aura. Then he stood in front of the remaining henchmen. Just as the subordinate he had just knocked down fell down, the other 2 stood looking at him, both surprised and wary. Even Buddha was surprised. The intruder's recent performance. His pupils stopped moving, his eyebrows slightly raised. He still showed no respect and continued to walk forward, even though the monk Buddha was still staring at him. Bai Guang's face appeared, to match the face of the masked man in front of him. Both temperament and look were too similar. Then he spoke. That's enough. Everyone immediately followed his words and stopped. He was still very calmly observing the other person. He also looked at the other person. He couldn't help but think. Sure enough. He checked his hidden camera and discovered that it couldn't capture any images due to interference. At this moment, he clearly realized that the interference arranged by the orchid caused the camera to not work normally. Thought about it, Gyong-soo raised his voice provocatively. That's bad. Now there are more souls who need your help to reach the realm of enlightenment. You should start right away. Looking at his subordinate who had fainted and lying on the ground. He held a knife in his hand and his eyes couldn't hide his anger. Otherwise they would have to share the same fate as demons like me. Listening to these things, with those words, he was still as quiet as water. Then he waved his hand and commanded, all of you, leave me. And then he turned to you to continue talking. I don't know who sent you. You came, but it seems like you don't have any good intentions. And that mask you're wearing. Come here, my child. Let me see your face. Even though Monk Buddha put on a virtuous face, it still couldn't drown out the cruelty that surrounded him. His hand reached out as if inviting him to death's door. But unlike his expectations, he just calmly refused. There was no need to do that. I just came to say hello. When the time was right come, you will know who I am. Just be patient, okay? As soon as he finished speaking he looked at the other person and thought. No need to discuss. I still have to train this body a lot at some point. Monk Buddha approached him, then stretched out his hand as if he wanted to crush his head. And right when his hand touched the front of the mask, then a white smoke suddenly erupted, shocking even the subordinates nearby. They raised their arms to shield and spoke with difficulty. Was it a smoke bomb? Master, are you okay? The smoke gradually dissipated. Appeared a figure. Priest Buddha did not let the subordinate finish speaking, but simply replied briefly, I'm fine. He still stared forward, clutching the mask tightly. He looked at the door was now open, speechless. This made him even angrier, but tightened his grip on the mask. The priest squeezed so hard that it broke in his hands. Then he turned his head to look at the incense bowl behind him. The incense stick he lit earlier was almost gone. His eyes became even deeper. It seemed like he was thinking about something. Right now a card appeared before his eyes, with a picture of a man holding an umbrella next to a river. His voice softly rang out. A ghost. At this time it was morning. Everyone was still living as usual. And Hong Jun looks extremely disheveled. He raised one eyebrow and looked tiredly at the person in front of him. Gyong-soo did not show any respect, but bluntly accepted the comment. Why do you look like an old man? 10 years old after just one day like this? After hearing this, he immediately boiled and replied. It's all your fault. Do you know that you've caused me to take on more work? Clean up your battlefield when you broke into the police station. He remembered your actions yesterday. So he angrily continued, then the smoke bomb you asked me find me more. I have to do a lot of extra work. But you don't care much and calmly say, if you could catch that bastard, you wouldn't have to do all of this. Hong Jun clenching his fist and complaining. You think that's a good thing? Maybe. First you need to collect clues. Then work with prosecutors. He interjected. Arresting a criminal, is there a need to be so troublesome? Hearing what I said, he sighed in frustration. How could someone like you who only knew how to slaughter one person after another? He remained silent for a moment. My words. Don't slaughter one after another. I'll just send whoever I need to send to hell. And you are the living proof. Right. The hand that reached out, he clenched his fist tightly, making a gesture like strangling the person in front of him. At this moment Hong Jun said with a serious face, listen to this gentleman who calls himself Bai Guang. No one in this world has the right to decide the life and death of others, no matter how much they deserve to die, are all judged according to the balance of law that the community has set. He was not convinced and raised his head and asked, so has that bastard been tried under the law? He still patiently replied, even if we arrest dozens of criminals, we still have to assume they are innocent, until convincing evidence is presented. So we need practical evidence to be able to arrest the bastard. Before he could finish speaking, he lost patience and shouted loudly, stop it, the text, we need that practical proof for me. Then his forehead protector said, damn, should I form my own team? Hong Jun's voice seemed unbelievable. Came. What? You're just a rookie kid. Don't have any experience in this industry. Don't be delusional. He still calmly replied, but I'm the strongest. He still continued, even so it's no good. This lunatic. You're still stubborn. Why don't you? Hong Jun explained, rank in this police department is everything. Hearing that, he narrowed his eyes and asked, how high do I have to climb before I have enough authority to form my own team? He confirmed, at least you must have the lowest manhwa flower badge. Currently I own the pentagonal flower manhwa. He gradually realized, so, then I should start working. Let's do it, I will soon be promoted. Once again he was surprised and exclaimed, what? This crazy guy, don't cause any more trouble. Stay there, wait for me. Will was talking enthusiastically when he suddenly realized when he had disappeared. So he couldn't help but wonder, where had he disappeared to? Was at the Ilsan police station. First, facing Gyong-hee with her striking orange hair, she answered the question, how did you increase your rank? First you have to take the promotion test first. He asked confusedly, test, while behind him there was a drunk girl talking nonsense. Pour her more wine, and the policeman looked towards them and said, Gyong-soo, keep an eye on this girl for me. Even though the police station was very noisy, they still naturally talked. Gyong-hee continued to talk. You said you remembered, but you still can't remember these basic things. Brother, first asked, when is the test? Suddenly the drunk girl hugged Gyong-soo and shouted, put those tests aside, and poured more wine for her. Gyong-hee didn't care much, but he still continued to talk. At least he had to have a year of experience. Despite her constant harassment, he still stood firm. For a whole year, the drunk girl became more and more outrageous. More, how is the service here doing? But to not let her get any more wrong, he immediately took a look at that girl's moon neck. The officer was busy listening to her colleagues. Gyong-hee, she filed a complaint. Have you filed a civil complaint yet? Then she warmly replied, yes, and he stopped and asked, is there no way to advance faster? She was a bit suspicious. What's wrong? You intend to own a magic spell manhwa flower shop as quickly as possible or something? He covered the girl who was already lying on the ground with a blanket and replied, okay then that's good. Then Gyong-hee spoke up to quell his fantasy. Go to sleep and dream. Soldier, just to get the manhwa flower badge. It would take at least 10 years. His face darkened, even if he was given a free hand by the senior general manager. Hearing that, she couldn't help but feel bitter. It's worth mentioning that, damn, I'm really jealous. But in the end, to increase your rank, you still have to take the test. Even though Gyong-hee said so much, he still tried to find a solution. Meaning, is there no other way? Then she replied, there is a special promotion. If you make a lot of achievements in capturing criminals, then you will be considered for the rank of special promotion. Because we new recruits don't have much experience in that, so all we can do is handle some civil complaint papers. Then someone interrupted and said, Gyong-soo, you did a great job on this. You immediately smiled. Yes. Then she stood up happily and said, "It's time, we can go out and..." The heck? By the time she realized it, Gyong-soo has disappeared somewhere. Her voice incredulously rang out in the bustling streets. He had run away somewhere. In this luxurious street, so many evils still haunt this place. Over here a peach woman hugged his arm. The bait tycoon. Over there, a pointless fight broke out. Kim Gyong-soo stood proudly in the middle of the crowd and said, "That's right. A police officer doesn't need to be good at studying. Our job is to bring these bad guys into the camp. Now I will work really hard." He pulled down the hat on his head. His face intact. Police uniform. Then he smirked excitedly, in order to have the opportunity to get a special promotion. In the middle of the bustling city streets, a voice rang out, with information that are of those 3 Koreans. Have a criminal record. Of course, the criminal record can be just a few trivial infractions, one of which includes running a red light, which causes passersby to angrily exclaim, "Huh, what, really, crazy that," he continued, "but that doesn't change the fact that, isn't the ratio of 1 in 3 too high? And out of all the sins that have been committed, the one who Bai Guang is looking for right now, not an ordinary criminal, he is looking for a dangerous criminal that will give his career a boost. A crime that he had also committed the same crime in his previous life." Suddenly his eyes stopped at a nearby transaction. The other person held a sticker and brought it in front of the girl. Her face clearly showed her desire for that piece of paper. His voice rang out mixed with excitement. He found it. He looked at the man waving the paper in his hand. His eyes seemed to shine with excitement and said, "Serious crime." At that time, at a bar, they turned on the dim disco lights with dreamy blue lights, and were having fun when suddenly the DJ stopped the music. And the crowd began to wonder why the music stopped. But he didn't answer, but called out, "Come on guys. Why are you all so stiff? Let's move your hips. Or did you guys use a lot of your ass last night? I can't take it anymore." A girl raised her hand to her face and couldn't hold back her desire to say, "Champagne. If you bring out champagne we will have a lot more fun." Hearing that, his eyes narrowed. Then he smiled evilly and replied, "Do you want that? Girls, open your mouths. Hey gentlemen, do you have a backache? Do you want some pieces trying to relieve the pain?" So he happily held up 2 bottles of wine and said loudly, "Ready to hit." Here, a series of pieces of paper fell like rain following his words mixed with the fragrant champagne. Framing the scene looked extremely chaotic. He still held the bottle of wine in his hand and shouted, "Right now, let's start and party like there's no tomorrow." Suddenly someone loudly interrupted him. "There is no tomorrow." Everyone in the dance hall, including the DJ, stiffened before his statement. They stared at the person who dared to utter those provocative words. "But I'm not afraid and still keep going. Or rather you'll be in jail tomorrow morning. In my hand I'm holding a piece of that guy's fried dough." He still can't take his eyes off Kim Gyong-soo, blue veins popping out around his forehead. However, he did not show his indignation, but spoke up, "Brother, you are upset because you cannot find a girl to keep you company. So just take this one. Then I can play hard all day. No surprise when I flatly refuse. I don't need this to play all day. Also, all of these things contain hallucinogens, right?" As soon as he finished speaking, there was a buzz around. Hallucinogens, like in banned substances. In the face of this dire situation, this time he just laughed and said, "Brother, what the hell are you talking about? Who the hell are you?" Breathing out some unbearable bad words, Gyong-soo didn't hesitate as he took off his jacket and said, "Me? Who am I?" Then he revealed his uniform. They immediately recognized him. The police officer, named DJ, started to panic, turned to the bodyguard and questioned, "Hey, why are there cops in here? What the hell are the security guards doing out there?" The bodyguard also frantically replied, "I don't know." Immediately, the champagne bottle flew straight into his face in the surprise of the DJ. Kim Gyong-soo's hand twitched due to the force. He kept his voice in the same position. "You can continue talking inside the prison." Only now did he realize the situation he was in. Nothing. Immediately turned around and ran away. He started cursing, "Damn." Then he threw his headphones and shouted, "Ran away," and I pushed through the crowd, asking to give way, apologizing. The DJ was still scared and ran frantically. "Hey, there are police here. Quickly clean up the food and the cage." The waiter didn't have time to understand what was going on and asked, "What?" And then another person being kicked towards the waiter made him even more panicked. "Huh," he had just exclaimed. "What a bitch," when Kim Gyong-soo flew in and kicked him painfully in the chest. When the enemies in front of him were all unconscious, he slowly chased after the DJ. At this time one of the bodyguards tried to open the door. The DJ was so impatient that he cursed his entire body. What are you waiting for? Open the door," he stammered. The door was, on the other side, locked and blocked by a chair. No matter how hard the bodyguard tried to twist the handle, he couldn't open it, the door, and the bodyguards were also beaten until they were lying everywhere. The sound of pounding on the door was getting louder and louder with a helpless voice. It was stuck. Then Gyong-soo appeared, attracting the attention of the fleeing people. "Hey, are you guys going to play a game of chasing criminals with me?" His face was dark, both scary and serious. Suddenly the DJ spoke up. "Wait a minute, are you here alone?" Bro replied calmly. "So what if?" He suddenly turned around. His previous scared attitude also disappeared. So he smirked. "Damn, am I scared away just because of a fucking cop? I thought this was a siege." Then he gave an order with a serious face. My brothers and subordinates listened and replied, "Yes, sir." Suddenly I realized something unusual about them pulling out a piece of drug from the hem of his shirt. He looked at the drug and couldn't help but wonder. The red strip, immediately followed by one guy sticking the drug on his neck. His accomplice also stuck it on. Suddenly a strange drug spread all over their neck skin. They screamed loudly as if they were given a huge source of strength. And he, after observing everything, was humbled. Wow. Seeing that the situation was tilted in his favor, the DJ immediately said, "Damn you cop, your life is over now." But before he could be happy for long, he quickly threw a punch in the bodyguard's face, causing him pain. His accomplice stood bewildered, not understanding what was going on. Then he spoke up. "You guys shouldn't scream like that." Just finished speaking. The guy then he struggled and screamed. He held his bleeding face and kept struggling. He looked at them arrogantly and said, "You guys are supposed to scream like this because of the pain." Then he rushed in and hit them. Next, blood splattered everywhere to the surprise of the DJ. He sat down and stiffened, even forgetting to run away instinctively. Then he stared blankly at Gyong-soo slowly approaching, his mouth suddenly blurting out, "Police officer, let's settle it with words. Do you need something? I'll give you whatever you want." So, his eyes were indifferent. "You will give me anything. Really?" He took the opportunity to quickly say, "Yes, really, what do you want? Drugs, beautiful girls, money, I will give you." Before he could finish, he spoke, "Special promotion." He asked in confusion. "Sorry," he repeated, "I want special promotion," then reached out towards the DJ. Then only his screams remained. The next day, the news reported that, last night at 2 clubs in Ilsan, an organization used and was caught transporting drugs. Korea's concern about the problem of a drug-free country is that. Suddenly a finger presses to stop the news video. Hong Jun smiled widely and kept praising. "Good, very good. You did a great job. Senior Police Officer Kim Gyong-soo. Now that you have been promoted, the corner of your mouth couldn't help but curl up. I was just doing what a police officer should do, but thank you, sir." He immediately expressed his attitude. Thank you. What rookie would dare to neglect the task assigned to him? And he completely ignored his words. Just calmly replied, "I am no longer a rookie. More soldiers. Right." However, he continued to complain, "And the way you arrested us was really good." Suddenly you interrupted him, stopped and, "Look at this." Then you put it on the table. Package of leaves. He looked at the object on the table in doubt. "What is this?" He looked up and replied, "This package was hidden in a safe in the crime area." He was immediately shocked. He jumped up and asked. He stole evidence from the crime area. Before he could completely be shocked, he continued, "Paulonia leaves. Does that sound familiar? Small green seeds in a packet of real leaves looks very familiar. It looks like green beads in drugs. Somewhere else, there is a muscular man wearing a chicken hat, holding drugs approaching." An urgent voice cheer rang out. "Miss Phoenix." In front of him was a man with a black eye, his whole body shaking with pain and fear. A woman with shiny blonde hair appeared. He humbly explained to her, "I'm the leader in Ilsan, but..." After that she interrupted, "One of the brats under me. What are you waiting for? Stick another one. They immediately obeyed and prepared pasting another sheet. He was even more scared and shouted, Miss Phoenix, please. But despite his begging, they still put another drug on him. Here it comes. Because the flow of stimulants was too much, he received even more pain to the point that he couldn't bear it anymore. Immediately after that, he spat a mouthful of blood into the woman in front of him. And then he collapsed and died. Furiously, when two subordinates led him away, I spoke up. Brother Bai Guang is dead and Big Brother Maple Leaf got scolded. She looked at the phone and hesitated again. I don't want to get scolded. Then she stopped in front of Kim Gyong-soo's image as if she was planning something and said, So, I need to quickly deal with this son of a bitch. Now at the police station, he seriously revealed her identity to Hong Jun. November Paulonia Phoenix, alias Shitnix, a dirty drug dealer. In that room there was the sound of tired breathing. At this moment, Gyong-soo was practicing handstands with one hand free. He thought to himself, the only thing I feel when I'm in another person's body is just. This body is very well trained. Endurance, flexibility and agility, all are very balanced. However, in order for me to be able to overthrow Hwagiksa Pagoda and all the people in the executive department. You crossed to his fingers created friction with the ground. The photo still lay still on the table. He rolled to the ground, gasping for air. Then he looked up at the ceiling again. Gyong-soo said to himself, This body hasn't reached that level yet. I need more time. At the police station, Gyong-hee scratched his head. Senior Officer Kim Gyong-soo, can you spare some time for Kanwi? He looked up at them calmly. So what you guys mean is, you also want to get promoted? All three of them said in unison. Yes. Gyong-soo raised her eyebrows. But why would she tell me? Gyong-hee quickly replied, it was because he had the support of the senior officer. The male police officer next to him immediately covered her mouth with his hand. No, because he was promoted recently. The other policeman also added. That's right. We are always here ready to support if you need help. The other policeman clasped his hand and patted his chest. We are willing to be buffaloes and horses for you. You looked at them begging, not knowing what else to say. You wondered, why do I need you guys to help me? They stopped. What? Gyong-hee suddenly became angry. Hey, don't you remember how we used to treat you so well? Don't remember anything at all. But received an indifferent response from Kim Gyong-soo. Yeah, I have short-term memory so I don't remember. Gyong-hee continued. Oh yeah, I forgot. We were once criticized by the chief. We visited you when you were hospitalized. You see how well we treated you. At that time the other guy also chimed in. Yeah, and also, we are colleagues, right? You put your hand on my shoulder. In my mind now only the two words colleague remain. It's pouring rain. Kim Gyong-soo stands holding an umbrella in the rain with a suit. Suddenly a voice rang in his ears. So you are Bai Guang, an assassin who chooses who deserves to die and who doesn't deserve to die. His eyes looked up full murderous intent. The tattooed man said again, Are you kidding me? The two masked brothers also said in unison. Someone like you is the best among us. I can't believe. Gyong-soo stood there still silent without making a sound. Another voice caught his attention. Buddha gave Bai Guang special treatment. It's really annoying. Shitnix slowly took off the mask on his face. Gyong-soo cleverly watched. Shitnix clearly showed his ghostly face. So why don't you die? Back to the scene at the police headquarters. He repeated, colleague, making Gyong-hee cheerful. Yes, colleague. Gyong-soo looked at them. Hey, Gyong-hee quickly replied, yes. He immediately turned disdainful. You're a piece of shit. Don't look for me until you get promoted. You only have 2 stars while I have a 3-star military rank. Why do I have to be your colleague? Are you? Gyong-hee is going crazy right now. You rude bastard. If you're good then fight with me. Ignore your rank and all. You cross your arms and judge. Oh my god. Rebellion in front of a high-ranking officer. A loud shout from afar. What's going on here? They looked up in the direction of that voice. Police chief. He raised his voice. Why are you guys? You guys are gathered here again. They solemnly raised their hands to greet. Boss. But Kim Gyong-soo still sat and tiredly greeted. Hello, the police chief immediately asked. Have you completed your mission? They immediately replied. We're taking a break here. He's helpless. You guys have no words to describe you guys anymore. Show us what else. The police chief stepped forward. Of course. Mr. Gyong-soo, this is an exception. Our station's lucky charm. Are you injured anywhere? Kim Gyong-soo slowly. My shoulder is a bit sore. He immediately reminded him. Don't work too hard. He responded right away. I like it. Gyong-soo silently cursed. This old man. His attitude completely changed when he received a promotion thanks to Gyong-soo. He was rude to Gyong-soo. You raised your hand to stop me. I don't like it. You debated inside. Anyway then, I wonder what those two guys are thinking about. Hwang Young-chan scolded him as he walked. Kim Gyong-soo, that son of a bitch. Chol-min immediately calmed him down. Brother, calm down. If I get angry, my blood pressure will increase and blood will rush in. I know what will happen if I stay like that. Young-chan shouted at him again. Do you think I can calm down? He was backed by a senior officer. Can you believe that nonsense? And he was also promoted to a special rank. Chol-min continued. Our station is revolving around him. Young-chan was indignant. I won't believe it if I don't see it with my own eyes. Chol-min added again. You're telling the truth. Suddenly a girl came calling. Sorry, police. Can I ask you a favor? I need to find the way to. Young-chan immediately shouted. We can't help you, and we don't know the way. Look it up on your phone. Chol-min turned to look. Look at that. The two of them turned around and looked blushing. With a bag full of cakes. The girl lifted her sideburns and said, My phone is out of battery. She smiled beautifully. Hwang Young-chan, I'm afraid to blush. I'm sorry I was rude to you. My younger brother next to me immediately reminded me. Hey, don't get too excited. I'll go to the hospital. This girl begged. Guys, can you help me? The two of them blushed and said, Of course we can. Where are you headed? I'm going to Ilsan police station. He bloomed. Coincidentally, really, it's our police station. Chol-min also asked. We can go together. The girl was excited. Wow, really? Thank you guys. If you're the police at the Ilsan station. So you probably know Kim Gyong-soo, right? The two cousins' faces turned pale. Chol-min gave more information. Oh, him. Yes, we know him. He is our junior. Young-chan also added. What business do you have with Kim Gyong-soo? She hesitated. He is holding something that belongs to me. My father will kill me if I can't get it back. Chol-min breathed a sigh of relief. I thought you were going to say, you're his girlfriend. Young-chan agreed. I was about to leave. That blonde girl rummaged through the bag of cookies. As a thank you, would you like a gukwa cake on the way? She held out her hand to give the cake to the two of them. Paulonia of November Phoenix. Based on the reports that Bai Guang gave me, she's the one in charge of Wakub's funds. And mainly carries out assassinations through poison. Each type has its stages and is called Water Buddha's Eyes. There is a notable thing that she is very afraid of being scolded by the Buddha. And she is famous in Hwagiksa as. Gyong-soo's group stared forward. The blonde girl still calmly ate the cake. The cake fell to the ground. People scattered when on the ground were the two brothers Young-chan and Chol-min. Next to her were half-bitten pieces of cake. Naturally ate the cake as if nothing had happened. She stood right in the police station looking at Gyong-soo's group. The police chief said, Crazy whore. At the same time Gyong-soo said the same thing. The blonde girl was welcoming. Oh, I found you, policeman. She stood there with a smile on her lips. A bag of cookies in her hand. Gyong-hee asked her what she lost. What she lost, what is it? She took it for granted. Paulonia leaves. Gyong-hee doesn't seem to understand. Please excuse me. That girl has a ghostly face. Paulonia flowers that are wrapped in a Paulonia leaf. Please wait a moment. Let us take a look around watching. Gyong-hee wondered and turned to ask. Do we have something like that here? Shitnix said firmly. No. You don't need to go look for me. The police are holding. Her eye pointed straight at Gyong-soo. Gyong-hee opened her eyes wide and asked again. Hey Gyong-soo, what is she talking about? Gyong-soo immediately thought. She's still like that. I don't know what's going on. What's the problem with her? She opened her hand and asked cautiously. Give it back to me. Brother, you're looking at your phone again when you can't contact the slave. The calls are the problem. Because there is a machine causing interference. Some surveillance cameras here. Gyong-hee turned around and asked Gyong-soo. Are you ignoring her? The girl lipped her lips sinisterly and looked at Kim Gyong-soo. Causing Gyong-soo to also become cautious. Everything started from that time. The image of Bai Guang holding a stick. In front of him was a kid rushing towards him screaming loudly. He was holding the stick to hit Bai Guang. The stick came close to his neck. He immediately overturned the situation. Hit that guy's hip back. The stick fell to the ground. Bai Guang was able to finish the opponent. A monk stood right there watching. What do you think, Bai Guang? Can anyone use it? He smiled. Bai Guang looked down in thought. No. Around those who had been beaten by Bai Guang before were now lying paralyzed. That monk snapped his fingers and spoke. I also saw that. Suddenly 2 people wearing black suits appeared. An order from that teacher. Take them. To see the Buddha. Bai Guang looked at him suddenly scared and said help. If they can be trained then. They can, but he interrupted him. Bai Guang. I told you, empathy is an emotion you don't need to have. He put his hands on his shoulders. Bai Guang could only stand silently and watch. Those people were given empty cups of water one by one. Clearly what it was. Then they cried out in pain, but Bai Guang could only close his eyes and grit his teeth to endure. But the kid from earlier suddenly spoke. Losing to you, Buddha please. You can still do it. I can still fight. I will try to practice hard and be useful to you. So, he hesitated. He then said, I want to contribute to me. Why? That boy weakly replied, yes. The teacher then cold-bloodedly said, then, it would be much faster if you died and came to me in the next life. When you were saved, it immediately cried out pitifully, Lord Buddha, I beg you. That guy struggled, refused to drink that cup of water, screaming loudly, no. Bai Guang could only turn his face away. That water had to go into her mouth. The sound echoed through the sky. Don't. That late afternoon, the cup was thrown in the middle of the road after giving him those drinks. That teacher ordered, clean everything up. A guy in a suit looked at forward. I pity you. That girl suddenly hiccuped. That guy immediately went to tell him. This child is still alive. He widened his eyes in surprise. That kid, he opened his eyes slightly. And so, the teacher ordered that child. Use all this medicine within a month. If you want to be useful to me, then this is the way. That child is cautious. Yes, Buddha. She has increased her tolerance to touch little by little. And by the time she has grown into that, old master declared, you will be November's phoenix. She accepted the given mask and immediately put it on her face. I would like to thank the Buddha. I will be a useful child. From that moment on, she became a crazy opium-addicted whore. She urged you, police officer, did you hear me? Are you ignoring me? She dominated. In a demanding voice, Gyong-soo, where are my things? She grabbed his shoulder and jerked him. Answer me. Hello. He thought to himself, there are so many people looking. Gyong-soo quickly replied, it's yours. She was happy. Oh, he finally opened his mouth. But what she received from him was disappointment. He replied to her, I left it at home then. Do you want to follow me home? His mind was still calculating. As soon as I lure her out, I will kill her. The phoenix looked at him without blinking. Gyong-soo stepped up the table immediately suggested, come with me, but he was reminded by his colleague about his actions. This is not the way you get out of this place. Gyong-soo. She opened her mouth to speak. Lying. You can't hide a banned substance in your house. Gyong-soo's group looks dirty. The banned substance. The phoenix notices. Do you think I will fall into your trap? She immediately takes it in cake bag, a black medicine packet. Her eyes sparkled brightly, and threw those medicated pieces of paper at Gyong-soo. But he dodged in time. But his teammates were not so lucky. On their faces now, from that piece of drug-soaked paper, the explosive substance spread. They immediately stopped. She seduced me, bro. 2 strong men wearing chicken head hats immediately appeared. They stand next to the people caught in your trap. Her face is so ghostly and terrifying. You won't let them die. If they don't get treated in time, they will die. If you say where my medicine is. His hand immediately rushed to her face. She glanced after, but she dodged Gyong-soo. His sharp eyes did not give up. Unexpectedly, that drug-soaked paper was now lying on her chest. She looked at him in surprise and blankness. Gyong-soo held a device in his hand. He spoke. The machine was a signal jammer. He squeezed it so hard that the jammer was destroyed. She was mad. My shirt. He raised his phone, called for reinforcements. While no one was looking, was the perfect time to carry out the assassination. He held a police baton in his hand. She grinned sinister. What are you talking about? Kyung-soo took the stick and patted it, looked at her with satisfaction. You will know as soon as I give you a few things. Let's get started, shall we? I will trying to make her remember our anniversary days. Kyung-soo looked at the girl in front of her holding a stick tightly. There was a quiet space between the two of them. Her face was pale, revealing a worried look, then raised his hand to cover his mouth and smiled meaningfully. Shitnix's face showed a strange smile. His eyebrows raised. This brother, what he said sounded so strange. He even threatened to hit me. The girl even ruined my shirt, then grabbed my shirt, and continued to look at him. Are you planning to play hard? Before he finished his sentence, Kyung-soo rushed over. He punched his police officer rushed towards her. Shitnix promptly sat down. Then the mallet flew again. Kyung-soo promptly rushed to smash the mallet on Shitnix's head. She backed away towards her. Then she went white and held her head in pain. She raised her hand covered in blood and looked angry. You cop, do you want to say goodbye? Kyung-soo just standing there smiling, still holding the stick tightly. Looking at you when you're crazy. You still look ugly. After hearing that sentence, Shitnix just stood there sighing. She licked her bloody fingers. You make me feel pretty, that's surprising. You're not an ordinary cop, are you? I'm a bit unhappy. Don't try to act calm. Shitnix glared and asked, where are you from? You seem to be from the Special Forces team. Duty, right? Kyung-soo just laughed. Who knows? What do you think? She put her hand inside her shirt. I think. Then pulled out a red piece of drugs. Stuck it tightly to her neck. I couldn't help but care about your past work. Strange sounds came from her. His face just turned black. Disgusting. Shitnix's mouth was still smiling. But I believe you will do it good to find a way to hell soon. Kim Kyung-soo's face still appeared as if he didn't care about those words. Shitnix rushed straight in front of him. Kyung-soo still calmly stood there without moving. Do you really think that just one bite is enough? She was punched directly in the face with the oar, causing her to fall down and scream in pain. Kyung-soo's face remained blank as if she didn't care about those words. If you want to confront me. He continuously rushed forward and hit Shitnix. Until she was beaten, all she could do was use her hand to block it. Her teeth clenched tightly, making a growl from her throat. And finally stood up, counterattacked, causing Kyung-soo to withdraw her hand in surprise. She angrily trembled and wiped the sweat from her face. Mother and son, how dare you? Kyung-soo sighed. You still won't change at all. Right? You're still abusing drugs and not exercising your body at all. Actually, with my current situation, I should be thanking you. Right? Shitnix frowned and screamed loudly. Who do you think you are to judge who I am? He sat down and prepared to strike again. Who knows? Who do you think I am? Said Kyung-soo, knocked Shitnix down object to the ground. Her head hit the floor hard. His stick pointed straight at her face. Her eyes widened in fear. He controlled her. When you were beaten to death in this situation, then maybe you just remembered who I am. Shitnix tried to get up and struggle. What are you breathing out? Kyung-soo continued to talk. Even if all those drugs made your brain dull. Said then he poked the stick straight down on the card stuck to her neck. Kyung-soo sighed. You still won't change at all. Let me out. Your eyes filled with murderous intent. Shitnix still could only glare but couldn't do anything. The stick streaked straight down her neck. She choked with a cry of pain. Kyung-soo, stop. Oh my stick. Shitnix slapped Kim Kyung-soo hard in the face. This crazy thing. Then crawled up, hugged his neck and coughed. He looked at the stick in his hand and judged. The quality of this is so bad. Do they give junior officers such cheap things? No wonder why they punch like. Shitnix frantically stood up and launched a straight attack towards Kim Kyung-soo. He used his hand to block it. After a moment, his expression gradually changed. Eyes widened, looking at the colorful drug card wondering. What is that? I've never seen a sticker like that. Is that a new type? Then glanced down at. My hand was surrounded by drugs. Kyung-soo looked at the stain spreading on his hands and was surprised. That's not right. Did his hands become like this just by getting a little on his clothes? Then looked up again. Shitnix was panting. But she didn't look much better than me. Shitnix screamed. Who are you, monster? Why did you do this to me? It feels like. The servant stepped in and called. Miss Phoenix. Miss Phoenix. The ostrich just contacted us. Reinforcements from the police are coming. When he heard that, he waved his hand. Go away, spare you this time. We'll meet again soon, won't we? Looking at Shitnix, he thought, and there won't be a chance that reinforcements will chase her. The phoenix turned. You go. Let's go. Call everyone. That bird-headed guy looked at her. Miss Phoenix. Your face. Are you okay? Please excuse me. She trembled in fear. Why did the bastard die? Damn, that reminds me of Bai Guang. In front of the police station there are many cars parked. Inside there is a commotion with people passing by. Hong Jun was a little surprised. Did you let them escape? The unstable tree immediately flew right into his face. Gyong-soo stood arguing with the senior police officer. I wouldn't have hidden him if you hadn't given us fake equipment like this. Why did the stick retracted just because I used a little force on it? He rubbed his nose. Those are not trash. They are designed to retract. Not to do that. Two policemen stood outside, commented. Wouldn't that be disrupting the superiors? He threw the stick at the senior officer's face. He held out his hand. Look here, my hand is paralyzed. Hong Jun looked, his face was full of shock. His hands were first aid. Gyong-soo looked at his hands in front of him. This was an incident I did not foresee. Luckily the phoenix was scared and ran away. Like this just because he touched his clothes. Did they increase the dose? Or is this a new drug? The first aid person looked at his condition and asked, what happened to your hand? Gyong-soo was still immersed in thinking. She has become a living drug. I expected everything to go smoothly, but it seems the road will be a bit rough. He turned and said, Mr. Police Officer, urgent. I have a request. He stood next to him with his hands on his hips. What is it this time again? Gyong-soo babbled. This time. The quiet night in the room. At the apartment complex. In the hallway there was the sound of footsteps. In front of a house a figure appeared. The door slowly opened. Inside were people with chicken heads. A smoke bomb was thrown down to the person who just opened the door. Two chicken-headed guys jumped down. Caught him. This is a hallucinogenic drug and will make him unconscious. Okay, the phoenix told us to give more. The medicine was in, so he seemed like he would feel a lot of dizziness and maybe overdose on the medicine and die. Gyong-soo walked in wearing a gas mask, thinking about his previous request. I want to borrow some tools. Not the cheap one. I want the expensive one. He's holding a gun in his hand. Fully equipped with protective equipment. I knew you guys would come here. She's too scared to come here herself. She's really shy. Well, whatever, let's see how well the expensive equipment works. I went into the room. Pointed the gun was about two guys with chicken heads. Those two guys wondered when they saw him pointing the gun up. They were shaking each other. Shit, he has a gun. The guy next to him is shaking just as much. Don't pee in your pants, hey. That gun is definitely not. It's already loaded. Not to mention the bullets have shot two people in quick succession. The bullets are continuously fired forward. Moving in all directions. Continuously penetrated the mask. Shot down all the glasses and bottles in the room. These two guys were also hit with a lot of bullets. Gyong-soo continued to stand and aim and shoot forward. After a while, because they had too many bullets, they fell to the ground. Looking at the two guys' pale faces, their whole bodies shaking, he commented, this type of gun is quite good to use. The siren from the police car sounded loudly. Two neighbors curiously asked, what happened? The police just waved their hands. Please go home. They still wondered, is it true that there was gunfire just now? We already figured it out. The officer looked at the two guys who were stuck on the ground. Even if they were just rubber bullets. How many times did you shoot them? So, Gyong-soo stood behind and smiled complacently. I'll just give them what they deserve, but they'll probably wake up in the middle of the transport. Remember to tell someone to get some poison pills, hide it under your tongue. He looked back. You really are Bai Guang, right? He asked back. Do you still doubt me until now? But you still lent me the device. Hong Jun replied. I just thought of it. Why? How does a person have a normal mind can believe that? But after witnessing the Phoenix medicine incident, and even now, I am 99% sure that you are Bai Guang. Gyong-soo laughed. Asked, why isn't it 100%? The senior officer stood up. The reason for that remaining 1% is if you really are Bai Guang, why haven't you to find and eliminate Monk UHWA? Gyong-soo replied calmly. He said that solid evidence is important. How could a police officer say that? Hong Jun wondered again. Next. That's from a police officer's perspective. But from your perspective. But if that bastard monk dies, how will the public feel? And even killing him won't solve any problems. That side of the world is much bigger than you think. Hearing that, Hong Jun continued asking, are there still other organizations besides Hwagiksa Pagoda? Yong-soo replied carelessly, I don't care about those people. What I want now is the downfall of that bastard monk, in every way I can think of, to ensure that no one will have to live the life I did. Hong Jun just stood there silently contemplating and then replied, I will help you. Let's work together to put that bastard in jail. He looked at the hand in front of him with a bit of surprise. Senior Officer Hong Jun. Yong-soo approached and held it tightly. Hong Jun's hand with a dissatisfied face. What do you mean, when you say help me? I'm the one helping you. It's good that I'm not eliminating you. Hong Jun screamed in pain when he held my hand tightly. Then continued, if you don't want to die, just do as I say. Hong Jun agreed. I did everything fine. Looked at Hong Jun holding his hand. Yong-soo emphasis. And this last thing, it's not that I haven't tried to kill him, but that I can't. Who do you think taught me everything I know? A hand reached out and squeezed my neck with a painful groan. And the phoenix could only yawn a few breathless sounds. UHWA was holding Shitnix's neck. Two of his fingers poked her neck, making her cry out soundlessly. Buddha, I'm sorry. Please forgive me. He heard, so he slammed her body straight into the ground. UHWA cursed the woman lying unconscious on the ground. This crazy woman, you took too much medicine so your mind is in a daze. You got your answer, met all your needs, and then you crashed into the police station yourself. Shitnix lay there crying in fear. I'm sorry, I'm sorry. Her eyes were full of tears and she shrunk back to look monk. Phoenix, looks like you need to be taught a lesson. She struggled to crawl forward. The monk's eyes were still red with fear. Shitnix screamed, screaming and begging. Lord Buddha, please, I was wrong. I won't repeat this mistake again. Suddenly there was laughter from somewhere. The two turned to look. A pair of brothers with tattoos on their chests and thighs. Strong muscles. Look at you. You're such a crybaby. You've reached a new limit lower than the bottom. You drug addict. If you cry, you'll lose your muscle mass. If you lose that little muscle mass of yours, you'll be in trouble, right? Shitnix turned to look at Lespedeza brothers. Why are you guys? That bastard is here again. A person steps in front of you. What do you mean? This phoenix. Don't you think they came here because the Buddha summoned them? Shitnix was surprised. Cherry Blossom. Lespedeza also asked, is this girl here too? Then turned to see 2UHWA. Lord Buddha. Finally he spoke. Everyone was here. Then regarding the elimination of November the Phoenix. We'll begin. The Phoenix cried out in panic. Lord Buddha, I promise I will get back everything I gave. I lost it. Please forgive me. Monk UHWA did not pay attention to her request, but coldly replied, that is not necessary. I have already taken it back. She was bewildered when she saw the thing in front of her. How come you? He didn't answer but turned to the remaining three people in the room and asked, what do you think? April's Black Lespedeza, July's Lespedeza, March's Cherry Blossom. April's Black Lespedeza replied leisurely, we should kill this addicted bitch. April's Black Lespedeza even cheerfully offered a suggestion, using stimulants to increase energy. I see no more who could be worse than her. Cherry Blossom also quickly commented, this Phoenix sister, I have grown up close to you over the years. But how should I put it? We have to do it. Professional work. And the world of professionals is very evil and ungrateful. In the end, Monk UHWA spoke softly. So the majority of people voted. The Phoenix trembled and begged. Buddha, you are so cruel. You were planning to kill me from the beginning. July's Lespedeza spoke up in disgust. Her child has become poor again. She completely ignored those hateful words, but cried more and more loudly. You called me that bitch and those dogs who don't like me. Cherry Blossom said, so you always think of me like that. I'm hurt, said. Then she quickly walked towards the monk and called, this Buddha. Before this action, the Phoenix continued to cry pitifully. Then she suddenly froze before Cherry Blossom's action. Before her eyes was the scene of her kneeling down in front of her. Monk UHWA and gave him a gun. Here you are. He took the gun and said, Phoenix, I don't need people who can't support me. Then he pointed the gun at her. ignoring the Phoenix's two streams of tears. Monk Uhwa mumbled the Buddha's name before taking action. Please save us, Buddha. The next second he pulled the trigger and prepared to shoot. At this moment the Phoenix immediately put his head on the floor and said, I have created a new type of medicine. One that is 5 times more effective than the previous one. Before, this is the type that I developed myself. So it's hard to be caught when searched. Black Lespedeza asked in surprise. Is it medicine again? Monk Uhwa created. He immediately stopped aiming and asked. How many pounds? I didn't dare hesitate to answer. About 10 pounds. Then the Phoenix heard him ask again. How is the distribution? Question mark. I honestly report. You have connected with all the middle roads. Red light districts of Korea, Japan, China, and all Southeast Asian countries. Please come and give me half year. That's all I need. I'll be a useful child for you. Buddha. Yuwa's voice immediately interrupted her. Half a year. I've let slip much for your careless actions. Prove yourself. I will give you 3 months. The Phoenix, as if receiving amnesty, replied with a sigh of relief. Yes, sir. At the same time, at a hospital, Gyeong-hee kept talking. A, B, C, D, F, G. Gyeong-soo spoke in confusion. What's wrong with her? Hee-jun immediately explained. She was undergoing dialysis. The doctors said her body was sensitive to the medicine. She kept screaming incomprehensibly, and then everyone heard her speak vaguely. Can you wipe it away? I don't, he asked blankly. What did she say? Hee-jun thought for a moment and then explained. She said, can you yell at it for me? Probably to help wipe the drool. At this time Kim Gyeong-soo, I just realized the problem. Yeah, it's so creepy. You guys kept talking nonsense about coming to visit me when I was hospitalized. So I came here. We're even. Gyeong-hee quickly chimed in. Kun doyu wop thoas. He's like a real translator. She said, hey rude bastard. At this moment Seong-hyun happily spoke up. Gyeong-soo, you got a special promotion again. Brother seemed like he didn't know how to answer. I still didn't know anything about that. He quickly continued. I'm so jealous of you. Kim Gyeong-soo didn't seem to pay too much attention and just walked away while talking. If he jealous, work harder. I have to go. Watched his back leave for a moment before Hee-jun spoke up. Gyeong-soo, he has changed a lot. Seong-hyun nodded in response. Next all 3 of them sighed at the same time. What are we trying to do? At the police headquarters, Hong-jun spoke up with a serious face. I think there is spy in the police organization. Gyeong-soo was confused. What? Hong-jun continued. I wanted to test those drugs you brought. So I sent them all to the forensic labs. But they disappeared. It's gone. Someone took them away. Do you think who it was? He quickly replied. I don't know. I don't know anything about this police organization. Actually, those drugs are probably our key piece of evidence. I'll bring back more when I go after that whore. So, you should handle the espionage problem within the organization yourself, officer. Then quickly interrogate the Phoenix's subordinates for information. He quickly replied. We are still questioning them. Kim Gyeong-soo seems to have something else to say. And also, Sir said that he had a special task force to investigate Hwagik-sir. When were he going to use them? Hong-jun answered with some hesitation. Actually, they were all dead. There was no one left. This news really made him not know what to say. But then just a second later Gyeong-soo immediately showed his anger and rushed towards him, wanting to punch him. Hey old bastard, you are trying to trick me into doing this. What the hell? He seemed panicked with this sudden action of yours. I couldn't believe you at that moment. So, and right when your fist hit Hong-jun's face. Gyeong-soo also he spoke quickly and said, don't move or you'll get hurt. He spoke up frantically. Actually about that, why don't you form a new team yourself? Gyeong-soo was confused. Language. What? You said I need to have at least one small manhwa if I want to make my own team. Hong-jun continued. It's okay. I have 2 taeguk manhwas. Who would refuse? But in the next second, he was surprised by Gyeong-soo's answer. Yes, I refuse. I like to work alone. The senior police officer couldn't help but shouted. You just said you needed a team. Kim Gyeong-soo replied coldly. That's because you don't do your job properly. That's not what I mean. The police is a state agency. There are limits that you can only do alone. It will be easier if you have a team with you. It will be easier for you to get funds and have more reasons to justify. So as a high-ranking police officer, I order Officer Kim Gyong-soo to form a team. I can't do that, because someone is already looking at me and there are too many risk factors. At this point he mumbled out, making Hong Jun bewildered. The order. If he had asked nicely instead of giving an order, I would have considered it. He almost reluctantly, she softly said to him, please form a team, and went back to the hospital room. Once again, all three people there had the same surprise. Hee-jun couldn't help but wonder, how could an officer be formed into a team? Kim Gyong-soo honestly spoke his mind. I don't know, they told me to do that. Seong-hyun didn't either. I can't help but exclaim. Well, that's the power of someone who has a high-ranking officer backing him. After listening for a while, Gyong-hee couldn't help but be curious. Tiao-woo, Hee-jun quickly translated. Who did she say will be a member of the team? Gyong-soo freely replied, of course you guys. Besides you guys, is there anyone else in the station who has a lower military rank than me? I don't know what those words touched, but Seong-hyun cried and grabbed him. Gyong-soo, thank you. I thought you had become a trashy bastard after you got a head injury, but you're still the one who thinks for us. And the only girl in the room couldn't help but cry out incoherently. Thank you, thank you. Then he heard him saying again, thank you very much. I worked hard for you to see. And even Hee-jun looked sobbing and said, I thought I was going to die in office and handling books for the rest of my life. Because this is for my classmates. Right? Gyong-soo couldn't help but darken his face when he heard him say that. Classmates? You mean why? You guys don't know your status yet? He couldn't help but bewilderedly ask. Hey Gyong-soo, what's wrong? He replied seriously. Listen, I don't need classmates or anything like that. I just need people who will obey everything I say. Hee-jun blankly asked, so aren't we classmates? He coldly replied, you guys are slaves. My slaves. Who will die when I say die and live when I say live? Gyong-hee spoke up, still not understanding. Slave. Gyong-soo immediately emphasized. Slave. If you understand, call me master, then I will let you guys join the team. At this moment, the words you said were like the words of a person losing his humanity. According to Hong Jun's report, his name is Hwang Hee-jun, 25 years old. He is well trained in boxing, kickboxing, taekwondo and many other martial arts. If you look at his background, he seems to be a candidate that's great. He really is like that. However, he failed the written exam 4 times and passed the last time. Coming in at the bottom of the board, while I was deep in thought, he spoke up. Gyong-hee, what exactly do you mean by chief? Isn't it true that you need at least one small manhwa to be called a chief? Hee-jun, it's not chief, it's master. Gyong-hee scolded in a low voice. You idiot. He is definitely an idiot. The man next to him with the receding hairline is Lee Seong-hyun, 25 years old. He has undergone martial arts training in various types of wrestling and stances like jiu-jitsu and judo. His resume seems to be good, but on the interview day, he saw you keep looking at him and spoke up. Gyong-soo, I don't really understand what you mean. He said, Master, listen, it sounds scary. Come on, we are classmates. He burst into tears like a crying child. Gyong-hee looked frustrated and spoke up. Brother, he crying again, what a waste of muscle. Hee-jun said with a happy smile. Gyong-soo, can you explain clearly? And finally, Jo Gyong-hee, 25 years old, has not experienced martial arts training, ranked last in the physical exams, is the weakest officer in the police force. However, she ranked first in the written exam, and also ranked first in the interview. Meaning is, she quickly expressed her approval. I will follow any of your orders. Master, she is very smart. Gyong-hee said again, please let me join the team going. The next day in a large mountainous area, all three of them couldn't help but be bewildered by the scene in front of them. While Gyong-soo didn't pay too much attention to them but focused on getting started. Angry, waited for a while before Hee-jun spoke up. Hey Gyong-soo. Gyong-hee next to him quickly reminded him. Hey, realizing his rudeness, so he confusedly corrected himself. Master, why did you call us here on the weekend? He spoke softly. Why do you guys just stand still like that? Let's get moving. They can't help but be confused. Yeah, Gyong-soo is serious. Tuck spoke up. You guys are police officers. Gyong-hee wondered out loud. Yes, what's wrong? Then he pointed to himself and said, and I'm a dangerous criminal. Are you guys? 5 minutes of preparation, then let's rush in and try to arrest me. They couldn't help but gasp in surprise. Hee-jun asked suspiciously, this is 3 against 1. Are you sure? Seong-hyun, it was also confusing to call Kyung-soo. Once again the only girl in the group had to signal to remind him. Shush. He quickly realized and said, but master, what if you get hurt? I don't care. Pay attention and coldly say, 4 minutes left. We will start in 4 minutes. Seconds later they sat back in a corner and whispered something. Kyung-hee spoke first. Hey bastard Kim, that's Kyung-soo. Is he crazy? Seong-hyun quickly reminded. Kyung-hee, you told us to call him master. She replied indifferently. Who cares? As if he listened. As soon as she finished speaking, Kyung-soo immediately spoke. I heard it. Kyung-hee said with a fake smile. It's nothing, master. Hee-jun quickly asked the two friends, what do we do now? We have agreed to follow any of his orders. She said dangerously. Hee-jun should pretend to rush straight at him. And Seong-hyun, please throw him to the ground. When you hear that, you immediately feel scared. Me. But I'm scared. Hee-jun calmly said. All I need to do is run straight towards him. She scolded in a low voice. You idiot. You have to use those magic movement techniques you learned in boxing. After a while Kyung-soo threw off his shirt and asked, guys, are you ready? They couldn't help but be amazed at my muscles. Wow. I don't care about that. Time is up. Rush up. Kyung-hee immediately said with Hee-jun. Go Hee-jun. He was next to him and also whispered, confusing his opponent with his steps. Disorder. His mouth is muttering like that, but when he stands in front of me, he doesn't know what to do next. His mouth keeps muttering, disorder, like this. Kyung-soo confused and asked, what the hell? Why did you suddenly jump up like that? Kyung-hee behind couldn't help but scold frantically. This idiot too. You have to come closer. Just finished her words made Seong-hyun stop. Before their eyes was the scene of Hee-jun being punched until he vomited blood and flying into the air. Their screams immediately echoed, making him feel uneasy. Cried out, hey, are you guys kidding me? Seeing that, Kyung-hee immediately told Seong-hyun, go Seong-hyun, but he was so scared that he couldn't move. And then he said goodbye, running on all fours, her mouth still screaming. This action made her bewildered. You shouted. I can't do it. I really can't. As soon as you, while running like he was in denial, he heard Kyung-soo speak. He exposed his back. Right when Seong-hyun still didn't understand anything, he ran to his side. Seeing his expression, then he coldly said, calling a criminal stupid, as he said that he punched him straight in the face. It seemed like Kyung-soo's strength was so strong that Seong-hyun fell back. Then when he turned to look at the other member, he only saw her face stiff. When he got closer she became even more nervous. Wait. Kim Kyung-soo. No, for a tall guy like him, Kyung-hee looks as small as a child. Then she spoke confusedly. Master, you won't lay a hand on a woman, will you? Kyung-soo held her face and muttered. Is she a woman? And not a police officer? Then his quick action made her scream. Blood. He said contemptuously to them. You guys are truly beyond imagination. Are you planning on catching criminals like this? Let's rest for 10 minutes. Then we will repeat the training 3 more times. If you don't want to get beaten up, throw everything you have. Is that clear? They listened, immediately stammered in response. Yes, master. Returned to the police headquarters. Hong-jun asked about his recent situation. How was the team formation going? Kyung-soo couldn't help but complain. Bad. They really are trash. How can they still pass the test and become police officers? He gently advised him, don't be too strict with them. If you hit him too hard. He spoke up dejectedly. You know, we're not facing ordinary criminals. Right, we're chasing people like me. Hong-jun said softly, yes. Then he silently observed Kyung-soo looking annoyed. Anyway, when will you finish the interrogation? After all this time, how can you find out nothing? So, Hong-jun calmly replied while eating ice cream. How can I get anything when the evidence is hidden? As soon as he finished speaking, I heard him laugh and reply, leave it to me. This is a great idea. In an interrogation room, 2 criminals are tied up in the middle of an empty room. Then a tall figure walks in, making him startled, surprised. That guy stubbornly kept it a secret. It's useless. We won't tell. Kyung-soo didn't pay any attention and asked directly. How is Choi Sang-mook? The guy who's tall and wears a suit. That thing with blue floral patterns. The Phoenix's right arm. Wait, or is he the left arm? Kim Dong-chol is the right arm. Right. The short-haired guy spoke in confusion. What? Then he continued talking. What is that bitch's name? Does she use the name Phoenix too? The guy with longer hair frowned and asked. Who are you? The other voice quickly said. Long time no see. I'm Bai Guang. Let's talk. In the criminal interrogation room, Bai Guang interrogated two criminals. The other guy shouted in surprise. Mr. Bai Guang. The first guy heard that and immediately raised his voice. Are you crazy? Mr. Bai Guang is dead. Then the other guy looked at Gyong-soo half believing, half expecting, but really he looked like Mr. Bai Guang. Gyong-soo smirked and said, It seems like we have met before. The other guy suddenly trembled and looked scared. Gyong-soo continued, I recognized that scar. It was from being stepped on by high heels. Right. The other guy's body was full of scars. Scar. You were beaten by the Phoenix because you were secretly caught embezzling medicine. Right. The first guy listened and turned to the other guy and asked. Really? Really? The other guy said in fear. Mr. Gyong-soo, so you're not dead yet? Gyong-soo replied, I received a top-secret mission from Buddha. Your eyes radiated murderous intent. I had to fake my death and infiltrate the police organization and monitor the movements of the high-ranking officers. Those two became surprised and worried with your words. I heard that Phoenix Hall lost her medicine and then broke into the police station. Right, but he came back empty-handed. What Gyong-soo said made those two guys open their eyes wide and extremely scared. Paulonia of November Phoenix. You have such an angry expression with an angry face. Now you whore, what is that guy thinking about? Gyong-soo threatened. I cut off the signal of the recorder and the police jammer. So you can say, the fate of the Phoenix will be based on the testimony yours. If that girl is lying on the bed sucking her thumb after making this mess. The more you talk, the more confused the other two are. Then follow the Buddha's orders. Then Gyong-soo, his eyes were murderous and angry. He said, I will cut his lifespan. Suddenly both shouted, Mr. Bai Guang, you don't need to worry about the Phoenix. The angry guy said, Ms. Fung is currently in the process of preparing a new drug. The other two finished speaking and looked at him standing there thinking with fear. He smiled cunningly. Is that so? Let's go in together details. Hong Jun looked at the report and was surprised. Couldn't believe it. A drug 5 times stronger than the previous one. Kim Gyong-soo took off the fake facial skin. They were planning to distribute it this type spread throughout the streets within half a year. Look at the report. It has the positions of the club managers under the Phoenix, as well as the gangs to distribute to them. He asked, can't you find out where the Phoenix is? He replied, even that damn questioner doesn't know. Probably only the managers know the line. Hearing that, Hong Jun said, then we will arrange to arrest and take statements from them. I also agree. That's right. We need to rush straight into their lair and bring those bastards out here. But I think getting all the information from them is not easy. Somewhere, in a room filled with cigarette smoke, a Phoenix was drinking in that room. She breathed heavily. Suddenly someone spoke up. This Phoenix. That's Sang-mook, the distribution manager. Isn't that a bit much? He continued. Have you heard the saying, don't burn the stage? The man in black came forward and up the voice agreed with Sang-mook. He was right. The Phoenix girl, who just walked in, was Dong-chol, the distribution manager. From what I heard, 2 of our people were arrested by the police hold. He continued. It's too dangerous to do everything quickly. It's best to ask the Buddha for more time. Sang-mook immediately raised his hand in agreement. I agree. The Phoenix put his hands on his face and asked the 2 people in front of him. Do you intend to show her anger and take responsibility if I am scolded by him? Everyone turned towards the voice at the front. Behind, suddenly rang. Of course. That Phoenix is Sang-pi. She walked up and said with a smile, I will be responsible. She continued calmly, afraid of what she was doing. Obscuring your sight. What happened when I wasn't with you? The Phoenix replied, if I said I had to do everything within 3 months. Her face was dark and angry. Then you have to complete it all in 3 months. Understand? When you see a Phoenix like that. Sang-pi immediately ordered, Sang-mook, go connect all the distribution routes and speed up the day. Sang-mook replied, yes, ladies. She continued, Dong-chol, Please prepare your things as quickly as possible. Dong Chol replied, I will do my best. The phoenix spoke, and Sang Pu. In the dim white smoke of the medicine, the phoenix groaned. Sang Pi hugged her to ease her pain, gently comforting her. She said, Don't be afraid, Miss Phoenix. You have me by your side. Remember. Her face turned evil and said, I will take care of everything for you. As quickly as possible. Outside, Gyong-hee collapsed to the ground. His face was dark and tired. He urgently said, Master, please slow down. Gyong-soo said seriously, You guys have been resting for 10 minutes. Stand up and continue arresting me. Gyong-hee was angry when he heard that. Gyong-hee said, Hey Kim Gyong-soo, aren't you being just a little bit too much? We didn't hear anything about having to train like this. He said, You guys promised I'll do everything I say. She continued shouting angrily, But this is clearly torture. We joined your team to catch criminals, not to fight you. He expressed, looking surprised. Oh, is that so? He asked. Do you guys really want to catch criminals? 3 people replied in unison. Of course. He turned away and waved them to follow. Then follow. 3 people became confused. Gyong-hee asked, Where are you going? To a ruined warehouse. The door gradually opened. 3 people walked in bewildered. In front of them were the criminals and their goods. They were equally surprised. Gyong-soo with a calm expression. We have come to the right place. The silver-haired man frowned uncomfortably. What's going on? The 3 people turned to look at him with confusion and fear. Gyong-hee stammered. Gyong-soo. No, master. Seeing that Gyong-soo asked them, You guys wait something. The 3 of them became stunned, speechless. Those criminals are in front of them. Shouldn't you guys hurry up and arrest them? When the white-haired guy heard that, he immediately wondered. Police. He pushed everyone forward. Right now, 3 people were pushed to the ground and turned around to look at him in fear. Master. The white-haired man immediately ordered his subordinates. Deal with them. Gyong-soo walked out and said with a sinister smile. Have a good time. The 3 of them's faces turned pale, sweating profusely. Gyong-hee said, Holy fucking shit. The 3 became confused when the subordinates approached. The Hee-jun looked scared and said, What should we do? I just used to just one-on-one. This is the first time I have to beat many people. Lee Seong-hyun is shaking and crying. I want to go home. Gyong-hee firmly reassures everyone. Come on, calm down. Then we won't die here. Even if that Gyong-soo guy is a fucking bastard, he probably won't be so miserable that he'll let us die here. She turned to look at the window. Hey, let's show that Gyong-soo that we are also police. You stand outside the window to see the situation inside. As I guessed, she is smart enough to realize that. In such a situation, we have to calm down. She said, Just wait. Kim Gyong-soo. Gyong-hee shouted, Come forward, male police officer, arrest them. You are helpless with the actions just now. Her actions are there's no use. Hearing Seong-hyun turn around confused and ask, How? Gyong-hee replied, You have to be the one to hit them first. Remember. Hee-jun rushed forward, before hearing Gyong-hee's voice. Go. The other guy rushed towards Hee-jun, and swung his fist hard at him. Lee Seong-hyun and Gyong-hee turned pale, but she said, If he bowed his head and grabbed the dress that was rushing towards him like that. Hee-jun hugged his face and said, It hurts. She replied, Of course it does. Suddenly Hee-jun realized, it didn't hurt. Another punch from the other guy continued for him. Gyong-hee wondered, Didn't it hurt? Hee-jun turned around and replied, Compared to Gyong-soo, the name Hey, he's hitting like a little kid. Is it because I'm used to being punched by Gyong-soo? That guy sounded like he was mocking himself. So he punched harder and harder. Then he backed away. Then, he clenched his fist, and swung it hard at the other guy, making him vomit blood. He said, It didn't hurt at all. Hee-jun excitedly cheered. Hey, all rushed in here. Seong-hyun was also bewildered. No less. Really like a child compared to Gyong-soo. Suddenly another guy held a stick and was about to sneak attack behind Hee-jun. He suddenly turned back. Seong-hyun saw that and gritted his teeth. Then rushed up quickly and knocked the other guy down. Seong-hyun shouted loudly. Gyong-soo thought, They've been strengthened. The 2 of them will probably be useful if I train them more a little later. He crossed his arms and looked towards the excited Gyong-hee, arresting them. The white-haired guy saw this scene and immediately got angry. You useless people, were beaten to pieces by 2 cops. Damn. He unbuttoned every button on his body, and then threw the shirt aside. It was so embarrassing that Hee-jun and Seong-hyun became confused. Gyeong-soo saw this and thought, concluding finished. They let fear take over their minds. He aggressively rushed towards the 2 of you. I will kill you, if you let fear take over your mind. He swung a strong punch in the face of Seong-hyun. He flew away, seeing that Hee-jun screamed loudly. Seong-hyun. Seong-hyun covered his face in pain and cried out. Pain is multiplied. Hee-jun realized the danger and turned around. And Gyeong-soo calmly looked at them. They still needed to learn a lot of things. But unfortunately Hee-jun was beaten to the ground. Ah, he angrily cursed his subordinates. You were beaten by 2 this guy. So pathetic. Gyeong-hee knelt down and spoke. I surrender. I surrender. He was surprised. What? You continue. I will tell you everything I know. Please don't hit me. Outside. Gyeong-soo was speechless when he saw that. That bitch just suddenly realized. Gyeong-hee was taking something out of her pocket. It was an electric baton. She took it out and stabbed him in the leg. He let out a painful scream. Gyeong-hee stabbed deeper. Die. He gritted his teeth. You whore. He pulled his leg back hard to kick Gyeong-hee. She closed her eyes preparing to receive the kick in the face. But Gyeong-soo got in just in time and kicked him away. He vomited blood. Then he turned around and used his elbow to hit him hard, knocking him unconscious on the spot. Gyeong-hee was bewildered by the action just now. Hash, he said. Now do you see how useless you guys are? Everyone recover and stand up. Let's go. Take the medicine on the table. Hee-jun asked. Let them, is that okay again? He replied. Who cares? Someone else will handle them. And it will be very painful. When I have to carry 3 more weights. Everyone becomes confused. Please let's go back first. Then, Sang-mook appeared surprised. The white-haired guy knelt down on the ground in fear and said, Sir, those cops. Sang-mook put his hand on the white-haired guy's mouth. Used force to tear it open. Suddenly his subordinate said, Manager Choi, over there. Sang-mook turned around. His eyes opened wide in surprise. On the table was a card. His face was quite panicked and said, Bai Guang. A box of drugs is being placed in Hong-jun's room. The officer was very surprised. Wow, we can become drug dealers. Okay, so the information is not a hoax. We can continue with the plan. Gyeong-soo asked curiously, has the infiltration plan been completed? Hong-jun replied, of course. He held the radio. I will introduce you to one of the officers that are going to take part in the ambush. She is one of the few people I can trust. Ahum, come in. The door immediately opened. Hong-jun introduced. Please welcome the person who will participate in this operation. Member of KNP-SU. Senior Officer Kim Ah-hyung. A girl walked in and stood neatly saluting. Greeting officer. Gyong seeing that. Soo replied. Hello boss. Hong-jun continued. This is Police Officer Kim Gyong-soo. Sit down. Ah-hyung was confused. What a police officer. Ah-hyung stepped forward. Just a police officer so close but. She touched his face and his face turned towards her. Sitting in the high-ranking officer's chair, but it felt like he was sitting at home. Are you crazy? Gyong-soo waved his hand away. Ah-hyung came down and said, my leg hurts. Hong-jun put out the fire. I think it's okay, so let's sit down and start discussing the plan. You don't accept it? No, I don't think it's okay, sir. She angrily stomped her foot repeatedly on Gyeong-soo's thigh. Hey police officer, stand up. I don't like rude children. Gyeong-soo is upset. Hey, she continued. I said stand up, get up. He replied, make me stand up. You're confused. What are you doing? He continued. I don't want to stand up. Gyeong-soo's face became perverted. Try making me stand up, wake up. Senior officer and officer all start with the letter S, so I don't see much difference. Stop talking about those nonsense ranks. Ah-hyung immediately heard that angry inside. What did you just say? Bastard. If that's the case, then let me make you stand up. At this moment, Ah-hyung stepped one foot on Gyeong-soo's thigh. Both of them glanced at each other with eyes like fire. Hong-jun looked at the two people, then raised his hand to stop. Senior Officer Kim Ah-hyung, don't cause trouble with. Before he could finish his sentence, her foot was lifted off her thigh. Gyeong-soo also realized that. Staring at her feet, Her feet retreated back as if gaining strength. In his heart he wondered, is a leg kick right? As he predicted, she lifted her leg and kicked him. Gyong-soo quickly leaned back to dodge, while he fell down in admiration. A Brazilian kick. KNP-soo, unlike Hwang Hee-jun, they are on different levels. Ah-hyung doesn't know what the other person is thinking, just keeps kicking him. The opponent is also agile and skillful in dodging. Seeing that he doesn't hit him, come on, she angrily gritted her teeth. This bastard. How dare you dodge all my kicks? If you like to play like that. She landed her feet on the ground. Then she raised her hands towards her. First rush towards you. I will catch you and throw you off the chair. Gyong-soo looked at her rushing towards him. She immediately switched to wrestling. She used her legs very quickly too. This is also on a different level than Seong-hyun. And then his hand clenched into a fist. Still thinking, she will be a valuable piece for his plan. His fist. The punch hit her chin easily. Ah-hyung's eyes slowly rolled back. The space in the room returned to silence. At this moment, Ah-hyung fell because he missed the shot and hugged his stomach. In this awkward atmosphere, Gyong-soo was still the first to speak. She said she would make me stand up. Why are you lay down like that? Ah-hyung angrily raised her eyes and looked at him speechless. You. Then she continued to lift herself up and hold me up while attacking and cursing. You damn bastard. Go away, die. Your whole family. But Gyong-soo still calmly avoided it. As expected from a KNP-soo officer. She has a great body. The more she listened, the more angry she became. How wonderful can that be? You will definitely die in my hands. On the opposite side, senior police officer Hong Jun just calmly ate chocolate and looked at the two of them. It was delicious. After a while, Hong Jun's voice rang out in the room. Now, starting from now, I will explain the Phoenix battle plan on top of a Paulonia tree. According to reports, the last weekend of every month, managers of the target drug organization gather for a meeting in a basement club. The last weekend of every month. So in about 15 days from now, we will wait for our chance, and then KNP-soo's second platoon led by Superintendent Kim Ah-hyung and the team lead by Senior Officer Kim Gyong-soo will take the plan into action. Suddenly Ah-hyung raised his hand. I objected. How can we believe the reported information? Senior Officer Kim Gyong-soo got this through interrogation. Don't bullshit me. They didn't say a word when I interrogated them. At this time Gyong-soo also frowned and looked at her. You should be grateful that I got a statement. Right? Complaining too much. Ah-hyung continued to point at him and scream. Shut up, you bastard. And why don't you use honorifics to address me? He asked in return. What do you plan to do about it? Is that right? She turned back to look at Officer Hong Jun with a determined look. I won't believe this information unless I hear it coming from their mouths with these very hands. I will interrogate them again. Hong Jun just looked at her and said, no, unfortunately another interrogation is impossible. Both died. The image of two prisoners appeared again. Ah-hyung couldn't believe it, asked again. Are they dead? Gyong-soo also spoke up. Why is the security here like shit? He didn't answer but just looked at them and said, anyway, make sure to prepare yourself carefully more. I'll see you two at the next meeting. Dismissed. Ah-hyung still didn't give up and looked at him. Wait, how did they die? Hong Jun ignored her and turned to look towards him. Gyong-soo is silent. Officer Kim Gyong-soo, please stay for a few minutes. She looked towards him wondering. Why did he stay? What the hell is going on? A while later her hand was on the door handle. She turned her head and pointed towards him in the room. My specialty is using guns. Remember to prepare because I will chase you with my gun. Said, then she deliberately closed the door. Kim Gyong-soo crossed her arms and looked in that direction. Is she crazy? At this moment Hong Jun called him to look towards her. Hey, this thing was found in the interrogation room where the two men died. Then he pushed the thing in his hand near him. A card appeared on the table where the two men who were interrogated died. Hong Jun asked him, did he think of anything? His face couldn't hide his surprise. He looked at the card placed on the table. The star stalk on the other side also had a shaking hand holding a card. Shitnix looked at the card in his hand. His face sweating. His body kept shaking. Sang-mook told her, this was found in the house that was raided by the police. Dong Chol standing next to her also added, something is wrong, should we report it to the Buddha? However she bluntly replied, no, impossible, Mr. Bai Guang is dead. Mr. Buddha will blame me for talking nonsense. It's impossible. It doesn't make any sense. We have to continue with the plan. If we can't atone for our mistakes, then, but why did those cops leave Bai Guang's card? It can't be. Is it that guy? No, it doesn't make sense. I have to proceed with the plan. Otherwise I will. She breathed, gasping for breath when remembering the muzzle of the gun that day. Her eyes widened and her pupils shrank. Finally she controlled her eyes and held her head and screamed, I will. Two subordinates looked at her control, turned around and called in unison, Sang-Pi, hurry up. Call Ms. Sang-Pi here. A white smoke spread out in the room. Sang-Pi sat next to Shitnix, holding her hand with one hand and the other covered her eyes. Her face was full of blue veins. On the table was a piece of paper filled with drugs. At this time Shitnix called those two guys over. Sang-Mook, Dong Chol. Those two guys looked at her and replied words. Yes, ma'am. She slowly opened her eyes to look at them. Let's continue to act as planned. Dong Chol looked at her. But Miss Phoenix, she was too reckless. You guys, the police already know everything. And we have other things to worry about. Then she interrupted him. Sang-Pi, give everyone one of them. If you're worried, it's easy to make a mistake. She looked at her and smiled gently. As the Phoenix wanted, she turned her head to look at the two guys standing in front of her. Come closer and take one. The blue drug contained on a piece of paper was placed on the table. The two guys stared at the thing in their hands. The Phoenix told them, this was refined and purified by Sang-Pi just now, so it is still fresh. Hearing that, those two guys frantically put it into their mouths and made sounds of delight. Both of their faces were full of blue veins. Their faces smiled excitedly. Dong Chol said, all my worries were gone. Choi Sang-Mook also continued his words. Everything should go according to plan now. We will continue as planned. Miss Phoenix. All of their faces gradually became distorted. Did the two of them escape? Gyong-hee touched her head and looked at him. They said they would stop by the hospital to check. He looked at her and exclaimed, really weak. No, actually, would that be better? Gyong-hee clasped her hands and smiled at him, looking at him flatteringly. Can we rest since I'm the only one here? Come on, master. Gyong-soo bowed her head and slowly walked over to hold her shoulders tightly with both hands. What? Until they arrived, you and I, one-on-one, secret special training. His face was full of sinister looks at her. Gyong-hee looked up at him in bewilderment. Special training, it's a secret. Gyong-soo crossed his arms and looked at her. Her body is so trash. Gyong-hee blushed, hugged her body and looked at him, objecting, trash. I have a pretty good body. Bro, I know. He looked at her again. Her body looked like a pile of mud. She didn't have any muscles. She wasn't durable and flexible. Just like the above, she didn't have any outstanding combat characteristics. We will be going out in an upcoming campaign and you will likely be the first to die. Gyong-hee felt surprised. Hey, we have to go to war. What kind of translation is that? Gyong-soo didn't answer but just looked at her. Jo Gyong-hee, at first I thought who would let someone like her be a police officer. But as time passed, I understood, come up with a little acceptable reason. I knew she was smart. She was more than what I expected. From what I heard, she remembered the phone numbers of everyone's store in this area, and nicknamed the living delivery app. Just like what he felt. The current situation at the police office. A colleague lamented, order food now, this is so annoying. It's because that bastard Kim Gyong-soo took little Gyong-hee away. Hearing this, Jinna turned around and looked at him and asked, who just called Gyong-soo a bastard? Another colleague quickly replied, no one, sir. At this moment, Gyong-soo closed his eyes and pulled out a foldable police baton and said to Gyong-hee, if you don't want to die early, right now, the best thing you need to do is practice your strength. And avoid wasting time hiding your weaknesses. From now on, when you're practicing, think of this foldable baton as a weapon. When it's retracting, imagine it as a knife. When it opened, think of it as a type of a blunt weapon. And I will take special care of you, so you can learn with your body. Gyong-hee covered her mouth in surprise as she watched him walk away near me. Huh. Gyong-soo pointed the stick in his hand at her head. Make sure you can remember it with your genius brain. She looked at him. Remember what? He left the foldable baton as is. Bored her. You'll know soon. Gyong-hee is scared. What's going on? Tell me. But he still just looked at her from above. Just wait and see. Her face was covered in sweat and she stammered, "Wait and see what?" The owner of the bright sunlight of the day was still shining down. When Hee-jun and Seong-hyun ran when they arrived, they were stunned by the scene before their eyes. Both of them looked at Gyeong-hee, who was being crushed on the ground by Gyeong-soo, and exclaimed at the same time, "What?" She panted and looked up to see them bleeding. Eyes so rough. Both of them looked at her and asked, "What are you two doing?" Gyeong-soo looked at you too. "Do you really want to know?" Both of you paused for a moment and hesitantly replied, He smiled and waved at them. "You will know soon. Don't worry." Both of them looked at him with scared faces, wondering if, could we continue to live without knowing? Time passed like that. They continued to go through Kim Gyeong-soo's hellish training process. And Officer Hong Jun's side also began to prepare. All the Hyung team members are also ready. And 15 days later, the day of the Phoenix campaign on top of the Paulonia tree arrived. When the big full moon hung high in the night sky, Hee-jun pursed his lips and said, "I just survived 15 days of hell." Seong-hyun next to him also agreed. "I don't want to experience that anymore." Gyeong-hee was observing the front before speaking up. "But what kind of campaign would? Let us go with KNP-soo. A Hyung walking in front is mad. What are we doing so deep in the forest? You lied, right? Gyeong-soo only told you." "No, she warned you. If I can't find anything, I'm sure he's dead." He glanced at her calmly and said, "Okay." Gyeong-hee looked at the scene before him and wondered, "And who is this Gyeong-soo? He's disrespectful to the captain. KNP-soo is like that."